Back in February of this year, a wildlife camera snapped an eerie figure dubbed an elemental with glowing eyes protruding from the dark of a forest. Now, this haunting creature was picked up on a camera set up in the woods. But it wasn't meant to capture horror beings of any sinister variety. These cameras scattered in the woods were intentionally supposed to just pick up deer tracks. People wanted to monitor things. Instead, they got this beast. With glowing eyes and a hunched over appearance, the grim creature appears to have set off the movement tracker on the camera and offered up an unsettling selfie, if you will, which was posted to Facebook. The image in question, uploaded to Facebook group Ghosts of London, had some users alleging the find was maybe an elemental. Maybe a ghost. Both serve similar purposes, but the elemental seen here may have ties to the occult. And by that, a lot of folks think it might have been a sighting of a skin wearer. One user wrote, "That, my friends, is an elemental, a being comprised only of the energies of the earth itself." A couple of other commenters chimed in, agreed with the assessment of the eerie find. The original poster wrote, "This is a camera set up in the woods, set up to take photos when it senses movement. Main purpose? Take photos of deer and other wildlife. There are no people that could be in the woods at that time, especially without these folks knowing, and it had to be moving to set the camera off." Further freaked out Facebook users weighed in on the sighting. One said it was the eyes that chill me, and another worried for the pairs of eyes behind the elemental creature. Other folks suggested the sighting could be a W-worded being, which just so happens to be a shape-shifting creature which can mimic the voices of people it has come into contact with, and the sounds of woodland creatures. I would not suggest trying to capture the strange beast, but hunters across the globe were advised to carry a giant net should they hope to bag the legendary creature. Don't try it, not worth it. A series of howls and shrieks recorded in the Canadian wilderness left a hunter and government biologists searching for explanations. Gino Mikis was out hunting grouse with his wife and grandson in the forests of northwestern Ontario, more than 50 kilometers from the closest town, when they heard a series of eerie noises in the distance. When it first let out a scream, our lovely Gino thought it was a moose. But then his mind changed when it screamed again and again and again and again. He said this in a statement to Vice. So Mikis is an avid hunter and has grown accustomed to the sights and sounds of the region. Moose, black bears, wolves, they're pretty common sights in the backcountry. And this is all over northwestern and northeastern Ontario. He has heard many different animals in the wild, but nothing like this. He grew up hunting with his grandfather for most of his early years, and the howls initially came from the distance, but then they got closer and closer. He could actually hear it moving, and it sounded kind of heavy. His wife got scared, picked up the grandson, they started bolting for the vehicle, which, good on them, you want to stay safe. As the group retreated, Mikis pulled out his phone and began recording the howls, as well as his grandson trying to mimic them. Now the video, which has since been posted to YouTube, has received more than 500,000 views. Some folks were like, maybe it's a grizzly bear, which you mostly see black bears up there. While the species has never been documented in the region, a recent study found their range is dramatically larger than originally thought. Some other folks were like, maybe it's a big wolf. But the footage also prompted speculation that maybe it's evidence of a Sasquatch, maybe it's Bigfoot, or perhaps, possibly, it's the Algonquin beast. All of the above are legendary cryptids said to roam the hinterlands here in Canada. The latter, a figure from Indigenous folklore, is considered to be a malevolent spirit that can induce a psychosis. Biologists with Ontario's Ministry of Resources and Forestry are kind of skeptical that the sounds could come from an unidentified species, but they do admit they are not certain of the source. And this is according to spokeswoman Jolanta Kowalski. This was in an emailed statement to the media. She said, "Our biologists say it could be a larger mammal, maybe a wolf, but it's a considerable distance from the quarter, so there's no way to know for sure." Back in 2018, this next crazy video went viral, claiming to show a 6-foot eerie faceless creature reportedly stalking a moose in the Canadian wilderness. The video, which was viewed more than 30,000 times, was posted by Audrey Tanguay-Fréchette, who was unable to explain the footage. She said she was filming a moose on a roadside in Gaspésie, Quebec, here in Canada. And looking at the video, she saw a strange shape at the back left. Can somebody tell her what it is? Well, it's unclear what exactly was captured on film, but a lot of commenters were like, maybe it's Gollum, the fictional character from The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, which, okay, unlikely. But somebody was like, yeah, it looks like Gollum. Somebody else was like, my precious. Got it. A lot of folks had more fun with this. They were like, maybe it's a rake, which is a mythical creature that hunts animals without rhyme or reason. Saying like, yeah, that's a rake type creature stalking that moose. Must be pretty tall too. The creature does appear to stand up on its hind legs, but it's not clear exactly how tall it is. The Sun called it a 6-foot tall monstrosity. We here think, yeah, probably the creature we're not going to name. Puzzling pictures show a strange unidentified creature roaming through a Texas zoo, which left city officials kind of dumbfounded. The mysterious night creature was spotted on a security camera at the Amarillo Zoo on May 21st of 2022 at around 1:30 in the morning. Not witching hour, but pretty dang close. A still photo released by the zoo showed a lengthy creature standing on what appeared to be two legs outside the facility's fence. Was it a person with a strange hat who likes to walk at night? A large coyote on its hind legs? A chupacabra? It's a mystery for those folks to solve. This was a statement the city said on their website. The zoo called it a UAO, unidentified Amarillo object. But the city was like, hey, maybe the public could help us out. They wanted to let the community have some fun with it. This was a statement from the director of Parks and Recreation. It's important to note that the entity was outside the zoo. There were no signs of attempted entry into the zoo. No animals or individuals were harmed. There was no signs of criminal activity, but it's definitely a strange and interesting image. So that director of Parks and Recreation was like, maybe locals can help us solve our mystery. Looking at the weird creature, it doesn't look like a typical horned beast, but I think there's something worth mentioning about this cryptid caught on tape. And back in 2010, Indigenous elders in northwestern Ontario were calling a dead creature that washed up on the shores of their remote community a bad omen of things to come. And nobody seemed to be able to identify the waterlogged carcass from photos. Not that there was a lack of opinion on the matter. The photos went viral after an Ogie Cree community south of Hudson Bay released pictures of the rat-like creature that a dog sniffed out from a local creek. Pictures posted to the website of the Big Trout Lake community showed a long and skinny creature with brown fur and a bald, pale face. The animal was about a foot long, according to the official community website, and the creature was found when two nurses were hiking near a local creek. Their dog Sam saw something in the water, dragged it out. Daryl Senawap, a council member for the Big Trout Lake, said he couldn't confirm stories by some community members, including his great uncle, about sightings of a strange animal roaming swampy areas and feeding on beavers. Now, keep in mind, those stories that he had been told his entire life were from like 60 years ago. But he did tell CTV News Channel that he's never seen the creature himself, neither has his grandfather, most of the community, but this creature in particular, this new thing with the appearance, it has been interpreted by some elders as a bad omen for the community. The community website states, no one knows what it is, but our ancestors used to call it the ugly one. Rarely seen, but when seen, it's a bad omen. Something bad will happen according to our ancestors. One of the two nurses, who aren't from the area, described a very foul odor emanating from the creature's carcass. The pair didn't attempt to move it. They were like, maybe it's an animal common to the area. They didn't know everything. Eventually they realized they had taken photos of an unfamiliar, possibly very rare creature. But when they returned to the rocky shoreline, it was gone. And their photos are the only evidence left of the mystery creature. Online commenters have suggested the mystery creature could either be a waterlogged bear cub, an otter, a beaver, a muskrat, a possum, any other rodent-like animal that may have been diseased or misshapen by decomposition. The experts know better. They're pretty sure this was a flesh eater of the forest. Well, that's it. I've been Alexa, your resident ookie spooky girly. See ya!